Chapter 23 Broken Promises. Eunyalus walked forward quickly, picking up his Zanatu, half raising it towards me. He took another step and spoke as he picked up Dragatu's much heavier Anatu by the hilt, the point remaining on the floor, blood dripping down the blade and creating a small pool. "Don't be irrational, Freta," he said flatly. "Learn from Dragatu's mistake. Leave now, return to your people, don't come back." I didn't know what to do. The pain of losing Dragatu and the anger I felt made it impossible to think clearly. Then thoughts of Pyros appeared. They won over my desire for immediate revenge. I went to leave, but stopped. I took a last look at Dragatu's body, and a stab of pain cut into my soul. I was torn. I wanted to stay, but also to flee to get back to my son. I knew what Dragatu would have wanted me to do. Pyros mattered most. I ran through the rooms, up the stairs, and out of the library. Halfway down the corridor I stopped. Everything seemed to be spinning. I'm not sure how long I stood, propped against the wall. But then sudden footsteps pushed me forward. I continued to half run, half stagger through the halls and out of the front doors. The bright sunlight hurt my eyes. Once everything came into focus, I saw Eunyalus' men. A few of them ran towards me, their Onatus pointing. As they approached, I heard Eunyalus call from behind me. "It's okay, let her go. We will escort them all back to the fields, and they can rejoin their people." I continued to walk in a trance, supported by a couple of our people. We were marched north towards the fields, and Rion spoke to me. "Where's Dragatu? What happened?" "He's dead. Phenon killed him," was all I could utter. Rion was speechless for a few moments before he spoke again. "Phenon? Phenon killed Dragatu, but how?" I didn't know how to answer and simply nodded. He could see I was devastated, so didn't question me any further. Those around us had heard, and the news spread. There were many questions going back and forth. I heard someone say, "Should we try fighting the guards and get the book?" I managed to focus enough to object. "It will only end in our deaths," I said weakly. They tried to argue, but their voices and faces blurred. The reality of what happened began to hit me. I stopped and was violently sick. Rion took my arm to steady me. When I managed to compose myself, we continued walking, but this time in silence. Those who had wanted to fight realized it was best to return without incident. As we arrived, Eunyalus' people made a path and we walked through it. We arrived at the far end, and in front of us, about 500 meters away, were our people. Honor stood at the front and watched us appear from the opposite host. Eunyalus came to me and spoke. "It is a tragic day that you have lost your husband today, but remember we lost a brother. He brought this on himself with his stubbornness. Do not repeat his mistakes. Return home, live in peace. If one day you truly want peace with us, you should return and we can talk. But until then, don't return. Now leave and remember my words." He signaled to his men to let us go, and we walked towards our people. Though we were defeated and broken, the main host cheered, thinking we had achieved our goal. After a few seconds, however, they realized Dragatu wasn't among us. He stands above most men. There was suddenly a confused silence, and Honrus ran to me. "What happened? Where's Dragatu?" He's dead." The more I said it, the more it became real. Suddenly, it was too much. I broke. I fell to my knees, clutched my aching heart, and cried uncontrollably. Honrus looked across the field at Eunyalus and Phenon's people. There was a horror on his face, followed by anger, and then violence. He drew his Anatu. "No, don't cause more pain," I managed to say. He looked down at me, his expression tense, then signaled and lifted me to my feet. "Come on, let's get you safe, and you can explain what happened." I don't really remember much of what happened next. I remember getting Dragatu's body back and being in my tent, but time seemed to vanish. I remember giving a brief account of the events to Honrus and telling him we had to return home. Apart from that, I don't remember the journey back. The overwhelming emptiness and ache of what I had lost was too much. I had become a numb shell. When we got home, and when I was able, I asked Honrus what had happened. "We stayed for one more night," he said. "We discussed fighting, but decided to do what you had said and return to our people. We packed and sent messages to Eunyalus. telling him we would be leaving in the morning, and to return Dragatu's body. In the morning we received Dragatu's embalmed and fragrant body. I spoke with Eunyalus and demanded to have Dragatu Zanartu back. He refused. He said it would stay with them as a symbol of what is bad in the world. I argued with him for some time, but he would not give in, so he took the body. I must admit I was tempted to take his life as reparations, giving no thought to my own, but the thought of getting you home stopped me. We then finished packing and began the journey home. You slept little, but when awake you weren't really there. I stayed with you most of the time to make sure you were okay. You didn't really come back to us until we returned and you saw Pyros. Honrus is a good man and made the right choices. I have clearer memories from this point. The voice is what I remember first. Amongst all the chaos crashing in my mind, there came a voice that made me feel warm. It seemed like the sun had appeared in the night sky to disperse the cold and darkness. I began to feel again. The numbness that had engulfed me since I broke down in front of Honrus was gone. All I felt was overwhelming tiredness. I felt drained of all energy in life. Then I heard that voice call me again. Mother? I looked down. It was Pyros. I put forward my hand and touched his cheek, half expecting it to be a dream. I fell to my knees, pulling him towards me in a tight embrace. I began to cry again, and was both glad and disappointed that I could feel. I glanced around and saw that we had just left the desert and were on the edge of our nation. I pulled him away from me and looked him in the eyes. He was so confused and bewildered. He kept looking around and down at his hand. I looked down and saw the wolf-toothed necklace. Where's father? He asked. I kept this safe. I kept my promise. I stared at him and felt the pain of what I must tell him. Son, I started. I'm sorry. Your father is dead. This is going to be hard to understand. His brother killed him. You're going to have to be strong. It's what he would have wanted. Can you be strong? Pyros didn't seem to understand and kept looking around. He couldn't see him and started to accept this horrible truth. His voice began to quiver as he spoke. Where is he? There was a brief pause, and then he screamed at me. Where is he? He promised he would return. Where is he? He always kept his promises. Where is he? I was utterly shocked by his outburst. I should have expected it, but I wasn't thinking clearly. I debated what to do. His fit of anger wasn't stopping. He just kept shouting. Where is he? Where's my father? He's not dead. You're lying. He's strong. He's not dead. The people walking by looked at us and hung their heads with understanding and sympathy. Pyros was so young and fragile in my eyes, but he was his father's son. He had to be strong if he was going to live up to his responsibilities. I made up my mind. Take my hand. I will show you where he is. Pyros glared at me, took my hand. He was silent as we made our way through the streets. Honrus had taken Dragatu's body to our house to be cleansed properly, so it was ready for burial. As we entered the room, I tried to be strong for Pyros. I wanted to throw myself on Dragatu and forget that he was gone, but I couldn't. He was gone. I had to come to terms with this, and I had to help Pyros do the same. When he saw Dragatu, he walked up to the body and spoke. Wake up. Please wake up. I have your necklace. I did well. I looked after it. You can have it back now. Please wake up. He began to cry and hung his head against Dragatu's large arm. A few tears fell from my eyes. I wanted to protect him, but this was the best way for him to understand. As I looked at him, I heard a light cough behind me. It was Honrus. I wiped my tears and gave a weak smile and nod of approval. And he gave a weak smile and nod of approval. I walked to Honrus and thanked him for all that he had done. I am always glad to serve your family and the people, he said. If it's not too soon, I have a suggestion for the burial. What do you have in mind? I asked. I think he would have wanted his body burned. I know it's never been done before, but it would be fitting. He lived his life by the flame, and I think the flame should take his body. We could do it as a ceremony to honor him. What do you think? I was quiet for a few seconds. That is beautiful, Honrus. You are a great friend. This is what he would have wanted. Can you make the arrangements for tomorrow evening? It will be difficult to organize, but I'll get all the Coriol Honora to help. We'll be ready to have the ceremony at the edge of the nation. He scratched his beard. If that's what you think is best. That is a good idea, I replied. The people can come and say goodbye to one of the greatest men they ever knew. Thank you again. With this, he left. I turned back to Pyros. He was still sobbing, and I wanted to hug his grief away. Between sobs, I could make out a few phrases. You promised. Necklace, why? I need you. It was tearing my heart apart. He had always been his father's son, even though Dragati was busy and didn't spend much time with him until recently. Pyros had always idolized him. Recently, I had seen a new bond form between them, and I thought they would be inseparable. I was wrong. Death has played its destructive card. I stepped forward, put my hand on his back, and rubbed softly. He looked around with tears in his eyes and flung himself at me, hugging me tightly. We should get you cleaned up, I said. We can say a proper goodbye tomorrow night. We're going to have a funeral ceremony to honor him. I kept my hand tightly pressed against his back and guided him away from Dragatu's body. He took a look back and then looked into his hand. That's yours now, I said. It's one of the many things you will inherit. You will be strong and great like he was. I will be great, Mother, he whispered. We walked to his room, and I washed his face, telling him he could go play if he wanted. I would rather stay here, he replied. Are you sure? I asked, worried for him. Yes, he said firmly. Reluctantly, I left him as he lay on his bed, solemn and quiet, still looking at the necklace. I left, and tried to busy myself with unpacking. I also walked through the house, tidying where I could, trying to distract myself. It was hard. I kept seeing Dragatu's dead face, so still and expressionless. It sent chills up my spine every time. In the end, I realized it was late and went to see if Pyros was okay. I put my head around the door. I saw him lying on his bed. He was asleep. I went in and pulled a blanket out and put it over him. He stirred a little, but stayed asleep. For now, he was at peace, but when he awoke, all would have changed. Sleep would not be a permanent solution to his pain, but for the present it offered a small consolation. I got another blanket and sat in a chair by his side and watched him. I kept telling myself I would protect him and love him twice as much. I then thought about Dragatu's journal. He wanted me to keep a record, so I got up, went to his belongings, and found his journal. I read Dragatu's last entry and cried for a long time. Finally, I knew I had to write. At first, I only wrote what happened. I knew if I wrote too much of my emotions, I might stop. As I wrote, it became easier. I've expressed my pain, and surprisingly it has helped. However, words cannot match my pain. I've also realized there's a lot of confusion in me. I don't know what to do with the knowledge I have. I know that the secrets about the Book of Prophecy contains more information about the gifts. They are the key in returning to the Creator, and it holds prophecies of the future. Yet what do I do with this information? When I think about it, I spiral into thoughts of getting the book and getting justice and reparation for what I've lost. And then I remember what Phenon did to Dragatu, but also what Dragatu had done to Cecilia, and how he had tried to kill Eunyalus. I didn't believe Dragatu capable of killing a person, but I saw him try, and I'm confused. I guess he believed in the Book of Prophecy that much, but it goes against what the Book of Law says. I don't understand it at all. I'm so exhausted and should try to sleep. Maybe in time I'll understand. All I know for sure is I want justice.